there, Anne-Marie here, and today we're exploring some basic tips and tricks for creating small collages on your cards. So I'm going to be using small cut-apart cards as the focal image slash sentiment. And so this video is going to be about how you can kind of dress those up and build around them and build a collage off of them. This is a great basic method for creating cards using bits and pieces you probably already have left over from all your other various projects. My starting point today was a promotional item that I got for free in some random order from 49 and Market, I think Crafty Market or Garden, something crafty. And it was a cut apart card sheet. It had 9 of these 2" by 3" cards that were perfect for, well, cards. All right, so we're going to start by looking at kind of a basic layout. A diagonal layout is really a great basic way to start. It makes it easy to balance the card because you can have your focal image flanked by 2 embellishment clusters, one a little higher and one a little lower. You can further strengthen that sense of balance by using similar elements on both sides. So for example, in this card, I used a tag on each side, and that gave us the balance because we've got physical objects on each side, but also some unity because we're using the same elements. You can do things like tags, butterflies, labels, sky's the limit. Keep your eye out for all the other times I use this technique in this video today because it's quite a few. I always start these types of cards with our background layer or mat. This will generally be a flat layer with some visual interest from the colors and the textures or the motifs, and I want them to relate to the focal image or sentiment. I kept it simple for most of these, and I just used pattern papers or plain painterly papers from other 49 and Market lines. You'll also see me use, just in general in my work, you'll see me use jelly prints, stamped layers, an embossed background, some book print or fabric, some rub-ons, or like in this example, I used a torn magazine card background that I made eons ago. All right, so collages are layers, right? And there's going to be texture like built in from all these layers. So you might as well really lean into that and have some fun with textural elements. So I use a lot of different textural elements throughout all of these, but I'm going to give you some specific ideas for the little bits and pieces that I used to really bump up the texture or visual depth. So on this card, you're going to see that I'm using die cuts. This is a really basic way to create almost like a scene for your card. It just gave some depth because that tree is behind the fence, etc. Another base layer I've used today is this little tiny paper bag. So you can save these from packaging, or you can even just create one pretty easily. And then you can tuck a larger piece of ephemera or scrap into it, and then that can be your focal image base. It's just one of those, I want to say quirky, because why is a paper bag on a card? I don't know, but it looks cute. It's just like a strong structural element, so it makes a good foundation. All right, on the Today and Always card, you might consider playing with the tiny cutoffs that accumulate on your desk. I keep a little tray. I did just recently clear it out. You saw it in the ephemera organizational video, but I have a little tray where I just kind of toss all these little extras, or I'll save them on like the base of my lamp. I'll just kind of pile them up there. And then I can just pull them into whatever I'm making at the time as an extra little touch. So for example, this little Days of the Week card had been sitting on my desk for a very long time. It was a cutoff left over from some other project. And it was the perfect color to kind of tie in to my focal image to just add a little something. Paper lace also makes a nice flat bit that you can kind of tuck in and under within the collage. Ribbon is good for this too, or labels or small doilies, anything with color and a kind of pattern to it. So as you're making these, you might also want to, do that repeating element trick, but maybe you don't have 2 or 3 of something. So for example, in this case, I wanted more butterflies, more cork butterflies, and I wanted more of those orange flowers, but I only had the one butterfly and I only had 2 of the flowers. So all I had to do was snip it in half. I did cut the butterfly in half so that I could angle it so that it didn't look like 2 halves. They were kind of going different ways. It doesn't look like it's perfectly symmetrical, like an obvious cut in half moment. And I try to do the same thing with the flowers where I tucked them in, but it doesn't look like I just completely chopped one in half and stuck the 2 sides on. Hopefully, it gives the impression of a more fuller, complete object. So I just talked about snipping things in half with your scissors, but there's no reason you couldn't also tear an element in half. So those torn edges can really be textural. You know, they're giving you variety in height and placement and the soft texture of the torn edges. Okay, on this Thinking of You card, I'm still using relatively flat elements, but I am adding some texture. So on this card, you can see corrugated butterflies. Like I used the corrugated cardboard to punch out some butterflies. And you can also see this adorable little butterfly. It's 2 punched butterflies. One of them is punched from vellum, and then it's popped up a little, and thread is used to wrap around the center of the butterfly to make the body. So those things have some actual texture, some actual depth, but it's not that much. It's still going to mail just fine. For my final touches, mist was perfect because again, it's flat. There's some added sparkle and it's pretty quick and easy, but again, flat. So it's not going to interfere with any mailing of my card or anything. I did mask off my focal image sentiment area before I added the mist, and that's really important because if you can see at the bottom of this card how there's a lot of brown mist there at the bottom. I had one of those moments where I gave it a little too much gas, and so it just all over the bottom of my card. So to rescue it, I had to just rip that off entirely. There's still some there, but luckily it missed my focal image and sentiment because I had masked that first. Otherwise, it would have ruined the card completely. And I find that bling is always in season for collages, and there's so much variety and types of bling that you really can't go wrong. You're always going to find something sparkly that you can work with. So dots, rhinestones, dewdrops, pearls, sequins. It can draw the eye across your card. It can bring out some like hidden little spots in your card if you want. And it's just a nice little finishing touch. So thanks so much for watching today. I hope you got something of value out of it. Please consider leaving a like or subscribing. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you next week with another video. Bye.